Yo guys, Spider here, and I've been playing the War Z off and on the past couple weeks, and wanted to talk a little bit about it because there's quite a bit of controversy surrounding this game. Now, the first thing I want to do is address some of the issues that people have brought forward, both on their forums, on YouTube videos. These YouTube videos claiming, well, I don't want to create drama yet. It's basically a drama vid. About how War Z's a scam and it's this and that and it's bullshit and the game sucks and whatever. Okay, so let's cover off that first of all. So the first thing I want to discuss is this claim about the War Z basically just seeing the success of DayZ and then trying to come in and basically clone it or come up with their own version with differences. And there are differences, okay? And what do I firmly believe? I firmly believe that is correct. I firmly believe that they saw the success of DayZ and they thought, hey, we can use an existing engine which they had for War Inc. These are the same developers that developed War Inc. and have used the same engine and brought it into War Z. And I firmly believe that yeah, they saw the success of DayZ. Okay, we're gonna throw some resources. We're gonna take our existing engine, which is a decent fit for a zombie game like this, and they have made it work. Okay. Now, people are up in arms about them claiming that they've sort of been thinking about this type of game for some time, and it's been kind of in development over the past year or two. But technically speaking, and I know it's a stretch, but technically speaking, they are correct because they're using the same game engine that they've been working on for the last couple years with War Inc. And there are claims from people supposedly they have this, contact they can't reveal either inside the company or a former employee stating that, yeah, in May or whatever of this year, that's when they started work on the game. Um, okay. You know what? I don't really care. I don't care who was first, the chicken or the egg, DayZ or War Z. I don't really give a shit. Because quite honestly, you know who it's good for? It's good for us, okay? And I'm not saying it's okay for people to steal other people's ideas, but you see it every day in games, and that's how games have progressed. Games have built upon the success of other games, previous games. How many times do we have this conversation in a Battlefield or Call of Duty and versus Counter Strike and how these games are? Well, that was in Counter Strike first, so no, you're saying that was in Battlefield first, but it was in Counter Strike or whatever. Even people saying, well, that's a copy of Minecraft, yet Minecraft is a copy of, built upon something else. It's like, give your head a shake, okay? What it means in the end for us is we have more choice. We have more choice. Now we have DayZ and War Z. Let's assume they can basically be compared and they're the only two of its kind. So we now have a choice. And not only does that provide us with choice, but it provides the developers with a hell of a lot more incentive than they previously had. So, because of the success of DayZ, now we have an option for the War Z. And because of, I'm not even going to say success, but because of the fact that War Z exists, I think is really pushing the devs for the DayZ standalone. And there's no doubt in my mind that a DayZ standalone would come as quickly as we hope it will if it weren't for the War Z. And as far as copying is concerned, that's not for me to decide. That's for these companies and their lawyers to decide, okay? I don't know what the patent system or the copyright protection system is for these games, but if the guys over at Bohemia, the guys working on DayZ haven't take issue with the War Z, then take them to court or file a lawsuit. That's not for me to decide. That's not for me because I'm not informed enough to make that sort of call. I can say, oh yeah, they copied, but what am I basing that on? I mean, or legally they can't do that. Well, then the companies need to take that up between themselves. It's not up for me to decide. Let's just put it that way. And again, in the end, it provides us with more choice and it provides these game companies with more incentive to provide us with better games, right? And I don't know. Can you call it a scam? I mean, I call it pretty bad PR. How about that? And I'm gonna talk about how I think they're the War Z PR is just absolutely terrible. But this is obviously a good case of that. I mean, their PR is just horrid with respect to issues like this. All right, so the second point I wanted to make was with regards to people complaining that the game's crap, they didn't like it was horrible or whatever. Okay, so number one, I mean the game is in alpha, and I've been playing. Like I've put a ton of hours into this game, and I mean, you go onto the game servers or the forums, there are tens of thousands of people playing this game every single day. And a lot of them are having fun. Otherwise, there wouldn't be. If they weren't having any fun, they wouldn't be playing it, right? And neither would I. I don't typically continue playing games that I'm not having fun with. So, I mean, just because you don't like the gameplay, you're going to call it a scam? I think this bullshit. Like, I don't know. I mean, I bought a lot of full game releases on disc and have not liked the game, and I don't go and call bullshit and say how it's such a scam because I didn't particularly like the game. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other people out there that do. So I don't understand that one. I do understand that the game is an alpha. It's still an alpha. I think and just touching back onto the development, yeah, they saw the success of DayZ and they pushed real hard to get this game out, and I think they put it out there to the public well before they should have, because a lot of these things, I mean, there are a lot of these things with the alpha that I feel they could have corrected themselves prior to launching, but they recognize they have a limited window of opportunity here in order to come out in between the DayZ sort of mod on Arma 2 and a DayZ standalone. So they need to come out quickly and they need to really push hard, and that's exactly what they did. And do I think they released the game sooner than they should have? Yes, I will agree. However, the game is still in alpha. I mean, it's in alpha, and they're still tweaking a lot of things, and they are patching this thing like crazy. Like every day or every couple days, they're patching this game with updates that the community is talking about and discussing. Like today or last night, they had an update, and this is all on their publicly available forums. So I'm not going against any non-disclosure agreements here, but this information is available, and they've improved on the zombie AI and the zombie aggression and the grass textures. Now there are some issues that they still have to resolve with lower NPCs, and that's where some of the optimizations need to be done. And that's where I think yeah, they did release it too soon because they could have done some of these optimizations before releasing the game. But hey, it is what it is, right? And you always have the option to buy the game. You don't have to buy it. You didn't have to buy it to get into the alpha. There's nobody, twisting your arm, forcing you to buy this game early, paying more to get into the alpha. You could have waited. You could have got a 2-day passcode that would be valid today, as of today, that you could use from somebody else who had purchased the game. Or you could have waited for the non-disclosure agreement to be lifted and seen gameplay videos and watched gameplay videos. Now, I will say there are some that have been released prior to the NDA being lifted, but I would not recommend making a decision on purchasing this game on those videos. I would wait until the NDA is lifted, and I would look at videos for at least several days past that date. Of November 4th, which is when the non-disclosure agreement is going to be lifted for the War Z. Check out some of the gameplay videos then, and then decide. Don't cry because you were forced to buy a game supposedly, and then that you didn't like, and you bought it to get into the alpha and start playing alpha gameplay without actually looking at real non-NDA disclosed video footage. And for that whose fault is that? That's the person who bought the game is complaining about it. That's your own fault. All right, so the last thing I want to touch upon is some claims made by people that had links to this audio commentary by supposedly from one of the developers behind War Z, stating how they were going to spawn in guns, or they were spawning in guns for people, for their friends. They were talking about how they wanted to go into God mode to take, these other players out. Blah blah blah. So everybody was up in arms. Oh, these cheaters! The devs are cheating. They're spawning shit in or whatever. Okay, so number one, I haven't seen any source stating that it was an actual developer of the game. Even if he said he was, doesn't make it so. Even then, even if he was a developer, so what? They're in alpha. So maybe he was testing shit or just having some fun. Do I think it's necessarily right for him to be doing that? Not really. But at the same time, I'm not going to go up all up in arms. Oh my God, they're cheaters. The devs are cheaters. You know what? It's alpha. They're gonna freaking do what they're gonna do with the game. I mean, honestly, is that like people make such a big deal about it? I don't know. I don't have any issues with it. I don't really give a shit about that. If they get some audio links to this audio, who cares, man? Really, who cares? Again, I think it just goes to this whole PR thing. Do I think these people are acting professionally in general? No, I would say not. Do I think their PR sucks? Yes, I think their PR sucks. So let's talk about a few things here with respect to that. The first thing I wanted to touch upon was the tendency of some of these reps of the War Z to simply block people that offer an opinion of the War Z that may be looked at in a negative light, as well as closing and deleting threads on their forums. And they're in control of the forums; they can control what they want to control. But closing and/or just simply removing any thread that has anything negative to say about the game. And from my standpoint, and maybe certain threads sort of go overboard, but a lot of these threads are actually bringing up valid points about the game. And it was my impression that, hey, you want to run an alpha, you want to know about these things, you want to know about what people are upset about, what people don't like about the game. Yet it's almost draconian, the way they're handling it, blocking people on Twitter for asking questions, and banning people from the forums. And I'm sure I've been on the forums and I've pushed a couple of issues myself and I haven't been banned. I'm sure the people that have been banned had good reason, but threads just being locked and deleted entirely for no reason that I can see whatsoever, simply because there are some negative comments made about the game. It just doesn't sit well. And hey, I post videos on YouTube. I get negative comments all the time. A lot of times I respond to them, and I remove very, very few of those comments. I usually leave them, and I usually try to offer up a response to some of the negative comments. But I mean, these guys just go to town. And they just seem to be compounding their own problems with respect to public relations. And I'm going to touch upon one issue in particular, which is obviously of concern to me, and it's with regards to the non-disclosure agreement. Now, I purchased the Legend package, which was the highest end package that you could get for the War Z, and it got me into the alpha of the game, which started on October 15th. Now, at the time, there was a non-disclosure agreement in place, so no, communication about the game outside of their forums, no posting of videos, etc., etc. Until October 31st. It was stated at the time, October 31st. That's what I bought into. Okay. Shortly after the release of the game, after the release on the 15th of the alpha, and still under the NDA, there are people that have gotten permission directly from the developers to post video footage. They have whatever deals they have in place. That's a deal they had in place. And there was also, people posting video footage that didn't have permission, but just basically in violation of the NDA. I mean, you could search up on YouTube for those videos. I mean, they exist. They exist. There's plenty of them. So that's fine. And then shortly after the release on October 15th, I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but they pushed it out to November 5th. So they changed it to November 5th. And then just recently, they've now stated that it will end on November 4th. But, I was kind of ticked. It's like, okay, I bought into this. I want to produce some videos for this. I can't until the 31st, and then it got pushed out even farther because, again, they launched the game prior to when I think they should have launched the game, as we previously discussed, but whatever. So, and it wasn't clear, right? I mean, people were saying the 5th, but there was no clear indication from them. There was no, it wasn't on the forums. I know it was probably built into the terms and conditions that you accept when you install the game, but they publish these terms and conditions every single time they do an update. there's new ones that you have to accept to. And yeah, I mean, they're pages and pages long. There's two of them. So I didn't read them every single time. And they were patching the game every single day. So supposedly in there it was specified November 5th. There was no official statement that I could find on the forums. I did find an official statement saying the 31st. And, I'm creating threads trying to find out about it. And the moderators aren't saying anything. And I'm saying, well, here's a link to, it was supposed to be the 31st. And here's a link to this thread, which was an official statement stating that it would end the 31st. And, one of these moderators comes on and closes the thread and says, the NDA is over when Sergey says it's over. And then thread close, right? It's like, you're an ignorant prick. I'm sorry, but we're just trying to get information, and it's like almost every hour. And I was on the forums trying to find the information, and almost every hour, because they were deleting these threads afterwards, they were just simply outright deleting them. So nobody knew there was a new thread about the NDA. So almost every hour there was a new thread asking about, well, when the hell is the NDA lifted? And yeah, I pushed on the forums, I pushed on Twitter, didn't get a response, and the response I did get was that bullshit. Well, when it's over, when Sergey says it's over. Well, all right, whatever. And then finally, just yesterday, Sergey actually makes a post that, okay, it's going to be lifted on November 4th. I don't know if it was a result of pushing by, it wasn't just me, but that's what came out. But even before that, and I had conversations with their community manager on Twitter, and I don't know if you guys recall or you've been around long enough, but we actually did a video for War Inc. way back when. We had a business agreement set up with these guys to help them with War Inc. And at the time, War Inc. was just launched. We had gone into a few games, and it looked pretty good. And it was free to play. I've got no problem pushing or helping a company assist with marketing of their game, especially when it's free to play. Like, I'm not going to push you to purchase any game, all right? But a free-to-play game, hey, you can download it, you can install it, you can run it. It doesn't cost you a thing other than your time. So I got no problem pushing that. At the time, I mean, there weren't that many players. It looked pretty good. I don't know where it went after that. I know there are a lot of comments that says, it's hacked or whatever. That's beyond me. I mean, I haven't gone back to it probably since shortly after that video was produced. So I went to the community manager here for the War Z, and I didn't even know it was the same company until after I had posted those other two videos that I posted talking about the facts from the War Z. This was a couple weeks ago. So I didn't know that, and after I posted the videos, I was informed, yeah, it's the same company. So I went to the community manager and said, hey man, we were involved with you guys with War Inc., and I know there's an NDA, but do you think we could post something up? I mean, we're not going to show problems with the alpha, which was their obvious concern. But I was kind of denied, and I'm like, well, I mean, that kind of sucks, and especially after what we did together for War Inc. and what we did for you guys. I mean, that video had like 250,000 views, and we're sort of kind of denied. It really denied in a way that I didn't feel right about. I mean, he basically asked me, well, what kind of content do you want to put out there? And I'm like, oh, okay, so it is kind of open, kind of an open window that we can post something. So I explained, well, I'd like to do something like this. And he said, well, that's probably not a good idea. It's an alpha, and that's going to change when the game releases. So I'm like, well, shit, okay. So I write back, I said, well, what do you want? What can we post? What can we post then? I mean, you tell me what we can post, and then that's what we'll post, if that's okay. And he just never got back to me. So it's like, all right. And then a couple days later, there's a video that they actually promote. They end up promoting, and it's a video where the guy actually says, and it's some, it wasn't the comments in the forums was that it was not a very good representation of the game. I didn't actually go and watch the video myself, but supposedly it was like some 14-year-old screaming half the time in the video, and people were saying, yeah, it doesn't represent the game very well, but they were promoting it. The War Z were promoting it on their Facebook page, and in the video, the guy actually states, this is in violation of the NDA. If you have a problem with it, let us know. We'll take it down or whatever. And then people were complaining on the forums. It's like, well, what the hell? Do you guys have an NDA or don't you? And later on, they actually stated, well, these guys came to us with asking permission, and we gave them the okay. And then all of a sudden, well, if you want to post a video, just send us a link to the video to this email address, like an unlisted video link, and then we'll approve the videos. It's like, well, shit. Thanks a lot, community manager. Like he didn't say shit about that to me. Um, so thank you very much. And then I'm not going to produce. I spend a lot of time producing videos. I mean, I'm not going to spend a lot of time producing a video and then begging for permission to get it approved. If it doesn't get it approved, then I've wasted my time producing a video. So I actually made a request. Hey, can we post some gameplay footage outside of the NDA? This is kind of what we want to post. But I'm not going to beg for permission for every single video we post. Never got a response. Never got a response from the community manager. Never got a response from anybody via the official email, which is fine. You know what? I'll wait till the 4th. And am I still looking at producing videos for the War Z? Yeah, I think so. Is it really a big issue with regards to the NDA and waiting until Monday? No, it's not a huge issue. It's just something that rubbed me the wrong way, and is just some of the actions by some of the people involved, and it just didn't sit right with me. That's all. And there are a lot of examples of that. Like I said, on the forums, etc. One thing I will say about the forums as well is that they have certain forum rules. One rule is the use against the use of profanity, and the other one is against the use of sexual content, and particularly in the forum, your forum signatures, right? Yet you've got Sergey himself, who actually posts and has sworn in some of his posts, at least one of his forum posts, and has actually used I don't know if you call it a racial slur or whatever. I'm not going to repeat it, but it's maybe a sexual orientation slur. He actually used it in one of his forum posts, and it's like they're banning people from the forums and locking threads, closing threads because they're breaking the rules of the forums, yet they do it themselves. Same goes with some of these moderators with sexual content in their forum signatures. And where do we draw the line on sexual content? I don't know. I mean, does it have to be a triple X porn star, having sex as this animated GIF in the signature? It's pretty borderline, but what it tells me is there's a lack of professionalism. Whether you say, well, that's not what we meant by sexual content, well, it's pretty damn close, and at best, it's unprofessional. Let's just put it that way. And the actions of a lot of people, a lot of moderators, a lot of official people, including Sergey himself, one of the developers, they've certainly lacked a lot of professionalism. I mean, some people say, hey, yeah, it's great. These people are real. They're being real with us, but they're breaking their own forum rules, in order to do so. So forum rules that they're going to hold against you, and if you break them, you're going to get banned. So it's just a little bit of hypocrisy, I guess we can say. So basically, to wrap it up, and I know I haven't covered everything, but what I'm going to say is, number one, I don't really respect the company behind this game. Okay, I don't, and I have issues. I have issues with other companies. I have issues with some of the things that Activision has done. I have issues with some things that Electronic Arts has done. A lot of game companies and developers. I still play the games, okay? I still play the games because that's what I'm about. I'm about playing the games, and if I don't like something Activision does, I'm not going to go and boycott their game, nor am I going to do so here. I don't have a whole lot of respect for these guys, but the gameplay looks like it's something that we can create some good content for you guys. Can we do this? Can we do the same thing with DayZ, possibly in the standalone? I mean, we started looking at DayZ before the standalone was announced, and while it was a mod for Arma 2, and it just had a lot of issues, and some of the things where the War Z is saying it's going, they're not there yet, and they may not be there for months. Is kind of appealing to me from a video production standpoint, and something that we can get some of you guys involved who are involved with the game and involved with us. We can get you guys involved with. I don't have to have respect for the company in order to produce some solid content behind a game that they just happen to produce, and that's where I stand. There was something they came out with the other day, yesterday, I believe. It was like a referral code, and it just seems to me, it's one of these things. Are they at fault for doing this? No, not necessarily, but it just doesn't look great. They're really trying to front end load this game because again, they're trying to compete with that standalone Daisy coming out hopefully soon, right? So they're trying to front end load this, and they have this referral code. So they're going to have a code, and I actually applied for it. I applied for it, but I will get to that in a minute. Okay. If it appears in this video, I haven't, I don't expect to be approved for it because of, my actions not only in this video, but also in the forums and pushing them on a few things, which I think were valid things to push them on. But they have a referral code, so if anybody signs up and purchases the game, War Z, using your code, then that person would get a 20% of that purchase price that you just paid for that. So it's whatever you want to call it. It's a referral program, and referral programs are quite common. But again, it just of all the things they do, they just keep doing these things that really don't make them look that great. Even though there are all kinds of other people that do this sort of thing, it just it appears that they're trying to front end load this game while it's still in alpha, and it doesn't look great. Let's put it that way. So if I am using this code, I'm not telling anybody to buy this game. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to tell you to buy this game. What I will tell you is wait until well past November 4th to make judgment on this game. And if you're going to buy it before November 4th and I happen to have a referral code, hey, by all means, use my referral code. Yes, I can get 20% back from your purchase if they actually approve me and I put it in the link in the video. If you're going to buy it anyway, that's only if you're going to buy it anyway. I'm not telling you to buy this game. I'm telling you not to buy this game until at least beyond November 4th when you've seen video footage that is not under NDA approved, like it's from these guys that got approval to post their videos while the NDA is still active. And you need to see footage from people that don't have this referral link, okay? Because this referral link is going to promote people to produce videos that look fantastic, only to look fantastic, and push you to buy this game, which I don't think is right. You guys need to watch footage. You guys need to look at it from many different angles and decide for yourselves. Look at footage from people that don't have a referral code because that's when it gets real, okay? And I'll even say from my standpoint, because I'm not going to be looking, I'm not going to be producing videos about bugs. I don't do that, okay? I'm going to be looking at producing, hopefully decent content that will help you with the game. Like we've always done, as well as some live comm stuff, and we got some pretty good shit for you guys already. So that's what I'll be looking at producing. But yeah, I absolutely recommend you do not buy into this game until well beyond November 4th. After the NDA is lifted and you make your own judgment. And again, just to clarify, I think if they go in the direction they're saying they're going to go in the next couple months, that we could produce some really great content for you guys, and I think the game could be absolutely fantastic. However, I don't trust these guys. I don't trust them, and that's why I'm really not pushing for you guys to get into this game at this point in time. Until they come out and they come out with some of the things that they said they're going to come out with, then we'll be having a different discussion. But until that happens, this is the way it's going to be. I do have one thing for you guys. Buried within this video are three codes that should get you a 2-day pass into the War Z. And I do flash them up at certain points within the video, so if you didn't catch them, you have to go back. But I do flash up 3 codes that you can use if they're not used yet to get access to a 2-day pass for the War Z that should be active right now. It's absolutely free. It better be anyways. I mean, I can't test it because if I use one of them, then it's gone, right? But yeah, free 2-day pass for access into the War Z, so you can try it out at least. Other than that, if you can't get free access, then wait until beyond November 4th. Check out some videos, and I'm sure we'll be posting up some stuff for you guys as well here on NGTZombies. Sorry, I know that was a long one. I apologize, but hey, what are you going to do? It's about 30 minutes. Woo! That's it. You guys have any questions, post in the comments, and I'll try and answer. I'm Spider, and I'm out.